The day Adrian won the university's annual research gold medal, I slid the divorce papers across the table. In the private green room behind the auditorium, he had already shed the austere tuxedo. Now he wore only a white dress shirt, every button fastened to the very top. I deliberately tugged my own collar aside, exposing the lurid bruise I'd drawn with lipstick. "Sign," I said, pushing pen and paper toward him, voice light and mocking. He never glanced at the document. His gaze, scalpel sharp, fixed on the glaring red smear on my neck. A few seconds of deathly silence. I thought he would explode, demand an explanation. He didn't. He simply stood, turned, and locked the green room door. Click. Like something inside snapping. He pulled off the titanium frame glasses that were his trademark and tossed them onto the table. Then he came toward me, step by measured step. Without the lenses, his eyes I had never truly seen, gleamed wolfish in the dim light. Next came the crisp metallic snick of a buckle. He undid the leather belt. Before we go on, please subscribe and tell us in the comments where you're listening. Chapter 1. The rasp of the metal belt being tugged free echoed through the quiet green room, loud as thunder. It felt like an icy snake coiling up my spine. My heart skipped a beat. Did I push too far? No, we haven't even started. 3 years of marriage and he treats me like a colleague, an icy, courteous colleague. Even sex is a research protocol, precise, restrained, passionless. Today I came to set this stagnant pond on fire. I held my ground, even curled my lips in a taunting smile. Adrian stopped in front of me, his tall frame blotting out the light. The familiar cedar and snow scent of him carried a new, darker edge that seeped into my lungs. He didn't question me, didn't tear the papers. He simply tilted my chin with the same fingers that calibrated million-dollar equipment, pressure light yet inescapable. His thumb brushed my skin while his stare lingered on the fake evidence. "Sienna," he said, voice low and melodious, and laced with something I couldn't name. "That eager, are you? Eager to divorce? Or eager to find my next man?" I twisted away. "Yes. I can't stand another day. Let's end this cleanly, Adrian." "Cleanly?" He tasted the word as though it were an exotic chemical, then he bent, breath hot against my ear. "Last night you wrapped your arms around my waist and said the way I smell drives you crazy." Heat detonated across my cheeks. Bastard, mentioning that now. We'd slept together last night, yes, silent, efficient, like every other time. I hissed, that was biology, not love. "Professor, can't you tell the difference? Is that so?" A chuckle, but his eyes stayed winter cold. He released my chin and picked up the divorce agreement. For one twisted second I felt disappointment. Instead of signing, he pulled the cap off my own pen and closed my fingers around it. His palm was dry, burning, utterly unlike the man who never broke a sweat. He led me not to the papers but to the full-length mirror against the wall. In the reflection he caged me, front to back. He touched the nib to the red mark, then produced a pristine handkerchief and wiped. The incriminating scarlet vanished. He regarded my pale face in the glass and smiled, thin, glacial. "YSL 196, isn't it?" A soft sentence, a sledgehammer to my chest. "You still have terrible taste, Sienna." He saw through it at a glance. Since when does he memorize my lipstick shades? My blood froze. Plan obliterated, I stood exposed, a clown caught mid-act. Shame and panic flooded me. Without pause he guided my hand, the pen tip skating across the skin he'd just cleaned, spelling 2 words. Adrian. His name. The stroke of metal on flesh was cold, intimate, branding me. "That," he murmured, lips at my ear, "is a mark. Remember it, wife." The last word was bitten out, a warning. I stared at the darkness churning in his eyes and felt, for the first time, real fear. This man I thought I knew might be someone else entirely. Outside, the master of ceremonies called his name, time for the laureate's speech. He released me, refastened the belt, repositioned the titanium frame glasses, and once again became the impeccable Professor Sterling, as if the last minutes had been a mirage. He folded the divorce papers, neither signed nor torn, neatly into the inside pocket of his jacket. "Wait for me at home." 4 words, delivered in an even tone. He opened the door and walked out into a chorus of "Congratulations, Professor." I remained alone before the mirror, neck branded with a signature more possessive than any kiss. Chapter 2. I fled that suffocating green room as though demons chased me. On the giant screen in the auditorium Adrian stood beneath spotlights, features composed, voice rational and fluid while he delivered his acceptance address. No one would believe the man on stage had moments ago penned his name on his wife's throat. Monster. A monster in bespoke wool. I pressed a hand to my burning skin, still feeling the glide of ink, shame, rage, and, unbearably, a flicker of exhilaration. The glacier had cracked. Not the way I'd planned, but cracked all the same. Instead of obeying his order, "Wait for me at home," I hailed a cab to Ivy's downtown bar. Throbbing music and swirling neon blunted my panic. "So? Are you single yet?" Ivy shoved a double shot my way, eyes sparkling. I knocked it back, fire raced my throat. Fat chance. I recounted everything. I went in asking for a divorce and left branded like cattle. Emery's jaw dropped. "Holy shit, the professor wrote on you? That's medieval level possessive. He's sick." I grabbed another sip. "Yet you look, kinda thrilled?" Ivy nailed me, heat shot to my cheeks. "That's anger. Fine, maybe a tiny thrill. Being the sole focus of his madness felt intoxicating. What now?" "He ordered you home. Are you disobeying?" "To hell with him." I slammed the glass down. "I'm nobody's property." My phone rang before the words cooled. Adrian's name flashed. I almost flung the cell across the room. "How? GPS implant?" I hit reject. It rang again. Reject. The third time a text popped up. A photo, my signed divorce agreement, spread flat on his desk beside his fountain pen. Below it, 2 lines. Option 1, I pick you up. Option 2, I sign. My pulse thrashed. Blackmail. He knows what it cost me to file, now he's weaponizing it. Ivy read and whistled. Checkmate. He's betting you'll cave. Fold now and you're his puppet forever. I know. I clawed my hair. Let him sign? Walk away? 3 years of frozen affection, did I want to end like this? No. A second text landed. The whiskey there is cheap. Your strawberry yogurt is in our fridge. You have the length of one song. After that, I forward the papers to your parents. Mom and Dad worship Adrian, they'd murder me. I bolted off the stool. Ivy, I gotta go. Go, girl. At least it's strawberry yogurt, not strawberry handcuffs, yet. I sprinted into the night, heart drumming. What's waiting for me? More deranged lessons? Stone cold silence? I opened my own front door like a prisoner to the gallows. Lights blazed. Adrian lounged on the sofa, laptop balanced on his thighs, fingers coding at lightning speed. Gray silk pajamas, collar open just enough to show collarbone. The titanium frame glasses were back, civilized, harmless. The afternoon phantom might never have existed. He glanced up. You're home. As casual as asking about takeout. I nodded, changed slippers, perched opposite him. Where's the agreement? I demanded. He closed the computer, lifted the document from the coffee table. Here. Then what do you want? If you won't divorce me, give me a reason. Instead he asked, did you wash my name off? Instinctively I covered my throat. I'd scrubbed in the bar restroom, but indigo ghosts remained. Adrian, don't push me. Push? He rose, bent toward me. Cedar frost engulfed me. He brushed my hand aside, fingertips grazing the faint letters. Electric sparks shot through me. I recoiled. A shadow flickered through his eyes, too dark to read. That's what you call going too far. He leaned to my ear, voice dropped to a lethal whisper. Then, what are you going to do in a minute? The sentence ended and he scooped me up in one motion. I yelped, arms flying around his neck on instinct. Adrian! Put me down. What do you think you're doing? His body is burning. That frantic drumming, whose heartbeat is it, his or mine? He didn't answer. He carried me straight to the bedroom and kicked the door shut with his heel. Chapter 3. The instant the bedroom door clicked shut, every sense I had mushroomed. The clean cedar scent coming off him, the steady pound of his heart, the scorching heat rolling from his arms. It all screamed that danger was closing in. Instead of flinging me onto the mattress, he walked to the floor-to-ceiling window. Outside, the city's million lights glittered like spilled constellations, and in the glass our reflection showed razor-sharp. He had me locked against him, a butterfly pinned by the hunter. Look outside, he said above my head. I obeyed, bewildered. See that? This apartment costs $20,000 a square foot. The car you drive set me back $200,000. The ring on your finger is one of a kind, I bid for it myself. His tone was calm, as if he were reciting a lab report. Sienna, I've handed you the cushiest life, the freest schedule. What exactly are you unhappy about? Here we go again, this tired script. He seriously thinks these are the things I want. Trembling with rage, I wrenched against his embrace. Adrian, you arrogant bastard. I never asked for any of this, never. I want a living, breathing man who'll smile at me, snap at me, get jealous, feel hurt, not some money-making robot. My roar ricocheted off the quiet walls. Adrian's frame stiffened for a beat. Then his arms clamped tighter, as though he meant to graft me into his bones. So, he murmured, lowering his head until our noses brushed, that mark on your neck, it was supposed to make me jealous, make me ache? His eyes blazed in the gloom, twin ghost lights. My scalp prickled, but I held my ground. So what if it was? Too bad you don't care, don't care? He laughed, a low, glacial sound that raised goosebumps along my arms. Sienna, you don't know the first thing about me. Spinning around, he strode to the bed and tossed me onto the duvet. I hadn't even scrambled upright before he loomed over me, palms braced at either side of my shoulders, caging me. Since you're so desperate to watch me lose control, he said, tugging off his glasses and flicking them aside, let me oblige. He didn't kiss me, he bit my lip, punishing, grinding, forcing my mouth open and storming in. This wasn't a kiss, it was a raid. His breath, taste, strength, frenzy poured over me until I drowned. My head spun, air vanished. He's lost it, completely. Then why don't I hate it? Just as I was about to sink, he broke away. Forehead pressed to mine, we both gasped. Blood red streaked his eyes, swirling with something so intense it looked like pain. Tell me, he rasped. Who is he? I froze. He's still hunting the other man? But he already realized the hickey was fake, didn't he? My mind raced. Maybe he'd only recognized the lipstick shade and wasn't sure whether a real bruise had been layered under it. He was fishing. A reckless plan flashed through me. Fine, I'd play this scene to the end. I hooked his neck, breathed against his ear, and purred. Why don't you guess, Professor? Guess his surname, his face, whether he's better in bed than you. Snap, every muscle in his body contracted, bowstring tight. The air itself iced over. He jerked back, eyes a gathering storm. Nah. My name tore through his clenched teeth. The next second my nightgown ripped in two, the sound cracking like the starting gun of a night run off the rails. You really thought I wouldn't touch you? His voice was arctic, his touch, molten. Beyond the window the city lights still glittered, but my world had shrunk to him. The mad devil I'd just yanked off his marble pedestal. Chapter 4. When I woke he was gone. The sheets beside me were cold, yet they still carried his cedar scent and last night's fever. I shifted, and felt as if a truck had rolled over me. That bastard really did try to kill me. I lifted the quilt, every inch of skin bloomed violet blue. My cheeks flamed, especially across my throat. He had obliterated the 3 small letters I'd inked and branded his own primitive signature there instead. On the nightstand waited a glass of lukewarm water, a tube of ointment, and a sticky note in his slashing handwriting. Called in sick for you. Apply it yourself. No extra syllable of concern, pure command. Yet looking at the ointment, I felt something odd stir. At least the blockhead has a sliver of conscience. I reached for my phone to check the time and found an unread message from an unknown number. Sienna, this is Julian. We met at Professor Lin's exhibition, wonder if you remember. Julian? I rifled through my memory and recalled, the young oil painter who'd chatted me up and asked for my contact. I'd tossed him my number without thinking. Why is he texting me out of the blue? I read on. I hope I'm not intruding, would you consider sitting for me? Your aura is extraordinary, it sparks all sorts of ideas. When the painting's finished I'd love to gift it to you. A snapshot of his studio followed, sun-washed walls, easels, paint-stained floors. A bolt of inspiration struck. Model? Perfect, my instant lover. Adrian wanted a name, I'd hand him one on a silver platter. I didn't hesitate. Love to. When do we start? Julian pinged back instantly. How about this afternoon? Deal. Phone down. I felt like a general marching to war. Ignoring my aches, I limped to the walk-in closet. This costume had to be flawless. I chose a crimson slip dress that made my skin glow, left my hair in soft waves, and painted my face with a look that said just rolled out of bed chic. Mirror, mirror, damn right I looked lethal. Round 2, Adrian. Game on. For extra drama I hailed a cab instead of driving. The studio sat in a quiet arts district. Julian's eyes lit up the moment he saw me. Sienna, you're staggering today. Ellis, I replied, smiling. The posing was duller than I'd expected. Hold still, tilt chin, don't breathe. But I endured it for the cause. During a break Julian fetched me water and started fishing. Are you married? I noticed the ring. Technically, I shrugged. But not for long. His eyes sparked. Is that so? Wonderful, wonderful? This guy is definitely interested. Perfect ammunition. I sighed theatrically. My husband isn't exactly kind. Impossible, Julian cooed, inching closer. A woman like you should be cherished. His hand drifted toward my shoulder. I was about to dodge when the door exploded inward. Bang, both of us jumped. A silhouette filled the doorway, backlit, towering, black suit, Arctic aura. Even before the familiar cedar hit me, I knew, Adrian. He planted a tracker on me, of course he did. My pulse spiked in equal parts fury and thrill. Julian clearly didn't recognize the intruder. Frowning, he stepped forward. Who the hell are you? You can't barge in here. Adrian ignored him. Each footfall of his leather shoes punched the floor like a verdict. He stopped in front of me, gaze sweeping my red silk and bare shoulders. Julian's hovering hand froze an inch away. Adrian's stare sliced across that hand like a scalpel. Then he shrugged off his suit coat and wrapped it around me, cocooning every inch of exposed skin. Home. Now. Voice sub-zero. Julian spluttered. And you are? Who says she leaves with you? Adrian finally granted him a look, pure disdain edged with menace. Without a word he hooked my wrist, yanked me to my feet and into his chest, tilted my head back, and kissed me, hard, possessive, for all the world to see. Julian stood transfixed, jaw on the floor. When Adrian released my lips he glanced at the painter, a thin, mocking smile hooking his mouth. Because I'm her husband. He slid an arm around my waist and marched me away. Mr. Sterling, that painting. Julian took 2 quick steps after us. Adrian stopped, glanced back, and gave him a cool, dismissive look. That painting, you had no right to paint it. And, he added after a beat, from now on, stay away from her. Without another word he curled me against him and strode out of the studio. I was half dragged, half carried to his car. The door slammed shut, sealing the rest of the world outside. In the sudden hush only the two of us existed. The crisp cedar scent that usually clung to him now felt sharp, predatory. I shrank into the passenger seat, afraid to meet his eyes. I'm so dead. This time the fire I lit may be too big. What will he do to me? Tear me apart? Kick me out onto the curb? Adrian didn't start the engine. He sat behind the wheel in silence, perfectly still. The air pressure in the cabin felt crushingly low. I could even hear the ragged edge of his breathing as he fought for control. Seconds crawled by, each one a slow torment. Finally he moved. But instead of turning the key, he unbuckled his seat belt and leaned toward me. I yelped and squeezed my eyes shut, arms crossing my chest like a shield. Adrian! Don't you dare! We're in a car. The assault I expected never came. He only reached out, pinched my chin, and forced my head up until I had to look straight at him. Did you like the view? He asked. What? I was still catching up. That man, he grated, the words scraped from his throat. Better looking than me? So this is what's eating him? Why is his focus always so bizarre? A giggle almost escaped me, but the blaze in his eyes killed it. I decided to toss another log on the flames. He's gentle, I murmured. Gentle? Adrian gave a cold laugh. His hands all over you, he calls that gentle? He didn't. He was only steadying me. Steadying you? His fingers tightened until my jaw ached. Sienna, you think I'm blind? He's better than you. I snapped, pain and fury overriding sense. He says I'm beautiful. He appreciates me. When have you ever really looked at me? In your eyes I'm no different from the vase on our console table. My shout froze the air between us. Adrian's gaze went horribly dark, twin abysses that swallowed every scrap of light. He stared for an eternity. Just when I braced for his hands around my throat, he smiled, and it looked closer to a sob. No difference? He eased his grip, knuckles gliding up to cradle my cheek as though I were priceless crystal. Sienna, do you know what hangs on the wall of my study? I blinked, stunned. He had never let me inside, how could I? He didn't wait for an answer. His voice dropped, rough, raw, vulnerable in a way I'd never heard. There's a painting. I painted it when I was 18. It's the first time I saw you, wearing a red dress, smiling at me under the sun. Tell me, any difference now? Chapter 6. My mind went blank. Adrian, at 18, had painted me? Impossible. We met after graduation, at 22, through family introductions. What nonsense is he spinning? I stared, searching frantically for any twitch that would give him away. There was none. His eyes held utter sincerity, an ocean of feeling so deep and bottled up it terrified me. What are you saying? My voice trembled. He looked at me a long moment, offered no further explanation. Straightening, he rebuckled his belt and started the car. We glided out of the arts district and merged into evening traffic. Neither of us spoke the whole way home. My head whirled, stuck on the impossible sentence. When I was 18, I painted you. If it was true, then for 10 years he had. I couldn't finish the thought. The car nosed into the garage. Adrian cut the engine, still silent, and pulled me out, heading straight for the elevator. His palm burned around mine, grip iron tight, as though I might bolt. Inside the apartment he released me and strode toward the study. Come here, he ordered from the doorway. My heart drummed against my ribs as I forced one foot after another. For the first time I stepped into his forbidden sanctum. The room was large, decorated in stark monochrome. One entire wall was a monolithic bookcase crammed with daunting academic volumes. The scent of paper mingled with cold cedar. Adrian stopped in front of the central wall. A huge canvas hung there, veiled by a drape of deep blue velvet. He hooked a finger under the cloth. My lungs forgot how to breathe. He glanced back, expression unreadable, then jerked the fabric away. Light seemed to flood the room, drawn to the painting like metal to a magnet. On the canvas a girl stood bathed in sunlight, flaming red dress whipping in an unfelt breeze as she turned to beam at the artist. She wore a simple ponytail, baby fat cheeks, eyes bright with mischief. It was me at 18. I even recognized the dress, Mom's birthday gift that year. I'd worn it to a summer camp visit at Eastbrook, gotten lost, and the handsome but stone-faced senior mentor who gave me directions, was him? A memory, buried for almost a decade, slammed into me. I clapped a hand over my mouth, gaping at Adrian. It was you. He never looked away from the portrait, gaze soft enough to melt. Yes, he whispered. I fell for you the instant I saw you. Boom. My universe flipped on its axis. The man I thought felt nothing, an icicle in human form, the man I'd tried to provoke into caring, had loved me all those years, before I even knew his name. So our 3-year marriage, had it been a quiet, calculated fulfillment of a decade-long secret crush? Then why? I swallowed, throat thick. Why were you always so cold? Adrian faced me fully. His eyes were rimmed crimson. The man who never broke composure even when the sky fell, was on the verge of tears. Because I was terrified. That the moment I showed how much I cared, I'd lose control. That my possessive streak would terrify you and you'd run. I thought if I gave you the perfect life, if I chained myself in ice, you'd stay forever. But I was wrong. He moved closer, every step seeming to cost him. Sienna, I was wrong. Before me, his trembling hand rose to cradle my face, then froze midair like a guilty child's. When you went to see that man today, jealousy incinerated me. I wanted to kill him, lock you away where only I could see you. His lid slammed shut, voice cracking. See? I'm insane. A monster. So, do you still want a divorce? Chapter 7. I gazed at him, at the man who had just peeled off every mask and showed me the raw, seething cauldron underneath. The agony in his gaze scorched me, branded itself onto my heart. Divorce? The word sounded absurd now. Everything I'd done was to force proof that he cared. And here it was, delivered in the most staggering way imaginable. I didn't answer with words. Instead I lifted my hand and wrapped it around the one still hovering beside my cheek. His skin was ice cold. I warmed it slowly with my own heat. Adrian, I raised my eyes to his, now clouded with dread. You idiot. Rising on tiptoe, I kissed him. Not a tease, not a test. A soft, soothing kiss meant to bandage the wounds I'd torn open. His whole body turned to stone. Then, with a growl, he speared fingers through my hair and deepened the kiss into something desperate and reverent. No punishment, no claiming, only the frantic joy of almost lost, now found. When we finally broke apart, lungs screaming, he crushed me to his chest, chin resting on my crown, whispering like a broken record. Don't leave me. Sienna, don't leave me. I listened to the jackhammer of his heart, felt the tremor in every muscle. The man the world considered unshakable clung to me like a drowning sailor to driftwood. My own heart twisted, aching, and tender. So it wasn't that I wasn't enough. He didn't not love me. He loved too much, too clumsily. I slid my arms around his lean waist. I'm not going anywhere, I mumbled into his shirt. Nowhere. But, I lifted my head and scowled playfully. You have to promise me something. 100 somethings, he said instantly. From now on, no more ice statue. Happy, sad, jealous, I want to know. Especially jealous. I jabbed a finger at his sternum. I want a living Adrian, not a mannequin. Starlight shimmered in his eyes. He nodded hard. Deal. Then memory flashed and his gaze darkened again. So, that guy with the surname Shaw. Fake, I blurted. I made him up to rattle you. First time I ever met him. Adrian's expression flipped from stormy to bright in a heartbeat. Still he pressed, and the marks on your neck, also fake. I laughed and cried at once. Lipstick. YSL 196. You already figured it out. A faint flush crawled over his ears. I saw it, but wasn't sure. Thought maybe someone's real hickeys were painted over. The sight of this towering genius reduced to bashful insecurity shattered something inside me. I framed his face with both hands. Adrian, tell me, do you want to do something very, very wicked to me? He froze. Clearly the question short-circuited his brain. His Adam's apple bobbed, and his eyes took on that dark, delicious gleam I knew so well. Yes. He answered honestly. His voice was hoarse beyond recognition. Then right now, you can. I hooked my arms around his neck and whispered in his ear. Do to me anything you've ever wanted to do. Turn me into yours alone. Now, immediately, Taylor. Chapter 8. My words were like a key, releasing the beast that had been caged inside Adrian for years. The last thread of rationality in his eyes snapped clean. Without another syllable he scooped me up and pinned me against the wall that bore my portrait. The cold plaster and his scorching skin formed a stark contrast. Sienna. He spoke my name laced with suppressed desire and madness. He bent his head and, abandoning all restraint, kissed me frantically, lips, throat, collarbones, marking me again and again with actions that branded me as his. You're mine, only mine. Over and over he repeated it at my ear, as if convincing himself rather than me. I had never seen Adrian like this. Frenzied, obsessive, drenched in possessive streak. Yet it gave me a sense of security I had never known, because beneath the madness I could feel the depth of his love. The battle inside the study went on for a long time, so long that the sky outside slipped from dusk to deepest night. When it ended I was too limp to lift a finger, a fish drained of water. Adrian carried me to the bathroom and gently washed me, his movements tender, his gaze intent, as if handling a priceless relic reclaimed after centuries lost. Watching his cautiousness, I couldn't help laughing. What are you laughing at? He asked. At you. I poked the defined ridges of his abs. A moment ago you were a man-eating wolf, and now you're an obedient puppy. His face flushed, he forced its stern again and landed a light swat on my backside. No nonsense. Though the words scolded, his eyes brimmed with fond indulgence. So good. This is how a real married couple should be. After the bath he wrapped me in a towel, carried me back to bed, and tucked me in like a burrito. Hungry? I'll make something. I nodded, watching him slip into pajamas and head for the bedroom door. Adrian, I called. He looked back. The divorce papers. Shadows crossed his face at the phrase. He returned, pulled the neatly folded document from the nightstand drawer, and, right in front of me, tore it inch by inch into confetti. Never mention those two words again, he said, tossing the scraps into the trash. No can do, I teased. He tensed. Why not? If you ever freeze me out again, I'll chant those two words day and night. I lifted my chin. Adrian gave a helpless laugh. He bent and pressed a kiss on my forehead. I won't. Never again. He went to cook. I lay in bed and checked my phone, dozens of missed calls and messages. Most were from Ivy, asking if I was still alive. A few were from Julian. Sienna, are you all right? Your husband didn't do anything to you, did he? If you need help, contact me anytime. I skimmed them and snorted. Playing the good guy now? If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have been ravaged by that lunatic Adrian. Still, my lips curved upward. I typed a swift reply. I'm great. My husband is also great. Please don't contact me again, my husband is very jealous. I sent it, then deleted and blocked Julian's number without ceremony. Next I called Ivy back. Hey, still breathing. Holy hell. You finally answer. I thought Professor Sterling had carved you up. Spill, how was the battle? Her voice blared through the speaker. I cleared my throat and said in a been there done that tone, don't ask. From now on, my family register might list one extra dog. Breed name, Adrian. Chapter 9. After laying our hearts bare, everything between Adrian and me changed overnight. The iceberg was gone. He followed me like an oversized puppy. Every step I took, he shadowed. When I watched TV on the sofa, he'd hug me from behind, rest his chin on my shoulder, and stay silent, just holding on. While I cooked, he'd hand me plates and steal quick kisses when I wasn't looking. At night he encircled me so tightly in his arms it seemed he feared I'd sprout wings and fly off in the dark. Confirmed that I wouldn't leave, his possessive streak only grew. He'd confiscate my phone, openly delete any male contact he deemed suspicious, and reorganize my closet, hiding every outfit he judged too revealing. The excuse, "These fabrics are coarse, they'll irritate your skin." Yeah, right. You just don't want anyone else seeing me. I griped aloud, but inside I was syrupy sweet. This unreserved being cared for, being claimed feeling was what I had craved for 3 empty years. One evening Eastbrook University hosted its prestigious annual academic gala. Distinguished scholars from home and abroad filled the hall. As family, I was expected to attend. I was in the dressing room choosing a gown when Adrian walked in. He slipped his arms around my waist from behind and studied our reflection. "Which one do you want to wear?" I lifted a black backless gown and held it in front of me. "This one?" Adrian's brows snapped together. "No." Flat refusal. "Why?" "Too much back showing." "This deep V? Neckline too low." "Then this slit?" "Legs are exposed." I stared, speechless. I spun around, grabbed his cheeks. "Adrian, shall I wear a burlap sack?" He caught my mischievous hands, kissed my knuckles, and said with utmost gravity, "I think the one I gave you is perfect." He meant the haute couture gown he'd recently bought at auction. Elegant, refined, and utterly conservative, covering every inch from neck to ankle. Transparent scheme if ever there was one. Though I rolled my eyes internally, one look at his "wear it or I sulk" face melted me. Fine, that one." His face lit up, he planted a loud kiss on my cheek. "Good girl." The ballroom glittered with jewel-bright dresses and crystal clinks. As one of the hosts, Adrian was the center of gravity. In a crisp black tux and titanium frame glasses, he had resumed the persona of the aloof, untouchable Professor Sterling. He moved through clusters of academic titans with effortless polish, every gesture steeped in elite poise. I curved my hand around his arm, a decorative vase, quietly basking in the admiring, or envious, glances. "Keep posing, Professor. If only they knew this respectable man mussed my lipstick against a wall 10 minutes ago for being too red." Then an uninvited blip appeared, Julian. He'd somehow wangled an invitation. Spotting us, his face stiffened, but he forced himself over. "Professor Sterling, Mrs. Sterling," he greeted, awkwardness thick. Adrian's eyes iced over. The hand on my waist tightened reflexively. I felt the ripple of restrained anger. I patted his knuckles in silent plea. "Cool it, big guy, public zone." Adrian inhaled once and produced a diplomatic smile. "Sam, good to see you." "I came with my mentor," Julian stammered, as though distance might save him. "I didn't know you'd." "No matter," I cut in brightly. "Coincidences are nice." My deliberately friendly tone worked. Adrian's fingers almost dented my waist. "Ouch, easy," jealous jar. Mid-gala I slipped to the powder room. As I exited the stall, Julian blocked the doorway. "What do you want?" I asked, instantly wary. "Please don't misunderstand," he said hurriedly. "I only wanted to apologize. Last time, I was out of line." "It's in the past," I replied, trying to pass. "Is he treating you well?" he persisted. "Whether he is or not is none of your business," I snapped. "He seems cold, possessive." "Are you sure you'll be happy with him?" he offered, face oozing concern. Before I could retort, an arctic voice sliced in. "My wife's happiness, Sam, is not your concern." Adrian stepped out of nowhere, slid an arm around me, stance pure shield. His stare at Julian dripped contempt and warning. I thought I'd made myself clear. "Stay away from her." He pivoted us away without another glance. Around the corner, where corridor lights dimmed, Adrian suddenly pressed me to the wall and kissed me hard. A kiss laced with fire and fear. "Adrian, someone will," I struggled. "I don't care." He was ruthless. "I want the world to know you're mine." While kissing me his hand slid beneath my gown. "You wanted excitement?" He growled the words into my ear, voice only I could hear. "Then let's make it more exciting." Chapter 10. At the corridor's end the banquet still sparkled. Violins, laughter, clinking crystal. Here, in a shadowed alcove, Adrian was doing the most outrageous things to me. My heart hammered against my throat. He's insane, utterly insane. Anyone could walk past. I quivered, nails clawing his tux lapels. Adrian, not here. My voice cracked on a sob. Scared? He lifted his head, his dark eyes flashed in the half-light. Yet you weren't scared flirting with that man. I didn't, I merely. You wanted to provoke me, didn't you? He saw straight through me. I averted my eyes, guilt written on my face. A soft, rueful laugh escaped him. Sienna, you really have me wrapped around your finger. He didn't continue what he'd been doing, but he didn't let me go either. He simply held me tight against him, burying his face in the hollow of my neck and drawing in a long, deep breath, as if he were drawing strength from me. From now on, you're not allowed to say more than 3 sentences to any man. He announced this into my ear in a tone that brooked no argument. On what grounds? I refused to give in. On the grounds that I'm your husband. He nipped my earlobe as punishment. On the grounds that I love you, so much it's driving me insane. That last sentence came out almost in a whisper, yet it slammed into my heart like a sledgehammer. My defiance evaporated in an instant. All that remained was a heart melted into softness and sweetness. I hugged him back and mumbled, got it, Professor Adrian. We stayed hidden in that corner, cuddling until both of us had calmed down, then straightened our clothes and returned to the banquet hall. When the gala ended, we went home. The moment we stepped inside, Adrian pinned me against the door and began a fresh round of punishment. From the foyer to the living room, then on to the bedroom. He seemed determined to vent every ounce of jealousy and insecurity he'd accumulated that day in the most primal way possible, and to brand into me, once and for all, exactly whose I was. The next morning I woke to an insistent ringtone. It was Ivy. Sienna. Major news. Check Twitter's trending hashtag right now. She sounded as if she'd won the lottery. Groggily I opened the app. Number 1 on the hot list, hashtag Professor Adrian Gautier romance. I tapped it and woke up instantly. It was a series of candid shots from last night's gala. In them Adrian and I stood in the corner. He was bending down to kiss me tenderly while I, Riley, stood on tiptoe to kiss him back. The lighting was hazy, the atmosphere sultry, like a movie poster. There was even a photo of him pressing me against the wall, eyes wild, my own face startled and flushed. The caption read, "What stoic professor? That's a possessive wolf dog. Cornering his wife at a university banquet to make out, should I even be seeing this? I'm dying of shipping feels." The comment section had exploded. Ah, my cold male god is actually like this. This gentleman in public, beast in private trope, I'm obsessed. Look at Professor Adrian's eyes, he's about to devour his wife. So hot. His wife's a goddess too. Together they're a celestial couple. My cheeks burned as I scrolled. Whoever took these is a ninja with that angle. Adrian had also woken. He hugged me from behind, chin on my shoulder. What are you looking at? He asked lazily. I handed him the phone. He glanced at the screen and raised an eyebrow. Nicely shot. Nicely? I stared. We're trending. Your Ice King persona just imploded. Let it implode, he said, unconcerned. I was never ice anything. He took my phone, logged into his long-abandoned Twitter account, and reposted the gossip thread with a single line. My wife, at Sienna Fay One, is the treasure I fell for at first sight and pursued for 10 years. One look, by anyone, is already one too many. After tossing the phone aside he rolled on top of me. Forget the trending tag, he murmured, kissing the corner of my mouth, eyes dark. Let's do something more important. Like turning last night's hot search into tomorrow's news. Chapter 11. Adrian's tweet detonated across the internet like a depth charge. In minutes his zombie account gained hundreds of thousands of followers. Love at first sight and 10-year crush detonated every romantic heart online. OMG, real-life version of my sunshine. 10 years? Professor Adrian is a love saint. One look is too many. Somebody give this man a CEO novel contract. New crush locked in. At Sienna Fay One, get out here. Did you save a galaxy in your last life? My own inbox flooded with onlookers, some envious, some jealous, some begging for husband training spells. Reading them, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. What spells? I was the one he had wrapped around his finger. Ivy called again, squealing like she'd hit the jackpot. Sienna. You're viral. The internet's top couple is you too. There's already fan fiction, the stoic professor's obsessive love. Me, reality was turning into a fever dream. Still, staring at Adrian's pinned declaration, my heart felt soaked in honey. This man, silent for years, earth-shattering once he spoke, had claimed me in the most direct, imperious way possible, giving me every ounce of security I could want. That night, after my shower, I lay on the bed scrolling through my phone. Adrian emerged from the bathroom in only a towel, sculpted chest and V-line on display. Rubbing his hair, he frowned when he saw me still online. Still looking? I answered without glancing up. Netizens are so talented, they've drawn tons of fan art illustrations of us. He set the towel aside and pulled the phone from my hand. No more. Why not? Do those drawings, he whispered, leaning in, look better than the real me? Here we go again, Mr. Vanity. Laughing, I pushed him. Move, you're damp. Instead of moving, he trapped me under him. Sienna, he cupped my chin, forcing me to meet his eyes. Let's talk. About what? His wicked glint gave me déjà vu. Tell me why, he paused, voice low. You wanted a divorce back then. Time for reckoning, my gaze darted. That's water under the bridge. Not to me. He was adamant. Thinking about how determined you were to leave, it hurts right here. He tapped his chest. He even managed a pitiful expression, like a golden retriever abandoned by its owner. When did he become such a drama queen? I knew he was acting, yet my heart softened. Okay, my bad. I didn't know you loved me then, I coaxed. And now you do? Yes, yes. Realize you were wrong? I was wrong. Should wrongs be punished? He showed his final card. Me, knew it. He hadn't come to chat, he'd come looking for an excuse to torment me. How do you plan to punish me? I asked, lacking all backbone. He smiled, sly as a fox who'd stolen the cream. From the nightstand he produced a pen, an expensive fountain pen identical to the one in his study. Didn't you enjoy roleplay? He uncapped it and traced icy circles across my back. Today we'll try something new. I'm the professor, you're the naughty student. And this professor will personally teach you the meaning of wifely duties. Chapter 12. Reality proved I was still too naive. I'd thought that once everything was out in the open, Adrian and I would simply enjoy sweet everyday life. But I'd forgotten, he was, at his core, a possessive madman. Only before, his madness had been an internal storm, a self-torture. Now every ounce of that madness was poured over me. He found countless ways to confirm my love and to sate his twisted need to possess. For instance, he used lipstick to leave for his eyes-only marks all over me. He'd force me into one of his crisp white shirts, seat me on his desk, and grope me while correcting papers. Or he'd materialize while Ivy and I were shopping, throw me over his shoulder in front of her because that skirt is too short. Ivy's verdict: you didn't marry a professor, you adopted a dad. I couldn't agree more. But I lapped up every minute, because I knew everything he did sprang from love, love that cut deep, love he couldn't escape. That day happened to be our 4th wedding anniversary. Adrian said he was taking me somewhere. He blindfolded me and drove out of the city. When the silk sash fell away, I found myself in front of a beautiful glass-walled conservatory filled with flowers I couldn't even name. In its center stood an easel holding a freshly finished oil painting of me, in a white wedding gown, standing amid blossoms, smiling blissfully. What is this? I gasped, covering my mouth. Our wedding was rushed. We never had proper photos, Adrian said, arms encircling me from behind. I owe you a ceremony and a full set of bridal portraits. Sienna, I'm sorry you had to wait so long. Tears burst free, not of grievance, but of joy. I spun around, buried my face in his chest, and sobbed like a child. Adrian, you jerk. Yeah, I'm a jerk, he soothed, stroking my back. Why didn't you tell me sooner? You made me waste 3 whole years feeling miserable. I'm sorry, it was all my fault. So how will you make it up to me? I lifted my tear-streaked face. He smiled, kissed the tears from my lashes, then produced a velvet box. Inside lay a brilliant diamond ring, bigger, more dazzling than the one I already wore. He went down on one knee, looked up at me with reverence and tenderness. Sienna, he said in the gentlest voice I'd ever heard, even though we've been married 4 years, I want to propose to you all over again. Are you willing to hand over the rest of your life to this lunatic who loves you to the point of madness? I gazed at the man I had adored and resented for so many years, at the starlight in his eyes and the ocean of flowers blooming for me behind him. Through my tears, I laughed and nodded hard. I do. Of course I do. Because unbeknownst to him, during those 10 years he spent secretly loving me, I, too, had spent an entire summer camp nursing a crush on the cool, handsome senior mentor who once pointed me the way. Our love story was never his monologue, never my solo act. It was a two-way flight across a decade of time. Thank you for listening. If you liked the story, please give it a thumbs up and share it with friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing tales. See you next time.